mention Ray Lewis. Now, I'm from Baltimore, so you know that I'm a Baltimore fan. But the people in Baltimore love this man, regardless of the allegations that were brought against him. I mean, he can do no wrong. How does he get that public perception on his side and Michael Vick not be able to do the same thing?
Well, Michael Vick never got that public perception. From the time that these charges were brought, he was never a sympathetic character. Nobody felt sorry for him.
He wasn't sympathetic before.
Do you think someone felt sorry for
he wasn't
Ray
that good
Lewis,
before,
though, when he was charged outside that nightclub?
For some reason, the fans took to him in a way they never took to Michael Vick. Not before this incident and not after the incident.
And some of that is based on Michael Vick's activity, his
attitude.
His attitude prior to that. I mean, there are statements that he made prior to that and prior to actually all of the information coming out that were arrogant, to say the least. And clearly that turns people off. Same thing that we can argue in terms of Barry Bonds and other individuals that use steroids. Barry Bonds, people hate him because they didn't like Barry Bonds, allegedly. That's right. No, he used steroids. But Barry Bonds and people had a problem with Barry Bonds, period. But they'll give a pass to Jason Giambi, whose actual apology was, I did something I wasn't supposed to do. He never even said I used steroids. I did something I wasn't supposed to do. All of a sudden, he's still a role model. I mean, Lenny Dykstra, who was here, the king of steroids. Nobody talks about that.
So this goes back to the court of public opinion to which you referred earlier in the program. Is it all about how the public will perceive
it's everything.
An individual as opposed to whether the true right exists for him to return?
I think it's a two-step process. The right exists for him to come back. The question is, does anybody really want him back?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you know,
you didn't?
I really didn't, because I happen to think you're right. But the other issue is the NFL, and the NFL can't have it both ways. They can't speak out of both sides of their mouth. And I absolutely agree with you, Lynn, in terms of the illustrations that you gave. It's either in for a penny or not. Either everybody comes back or nobody comes back. The problem is the folks that have come back will put fans in the seats. Michael Vick will not put fans in the seats.
I don't agree with that.
Or the fans that he will put in the seat, people will throw batteries at him.
Do you honestly think people are not going to come to a football game if he is the quarterback?
I think they'll come to taunt him, quite candidly.
Well, that's okay. They don't care if they come to taunt or not to taunt. If you pay for your ticket, I love you. If I'm an NFL owner.
They care if there's 50 people that buy front row seats on the 50-yard line to hold up signs from PETA or whatever else.
There are people that hold up signs all the time. At the end of the day, they don't. It's about money. And I challenge that.
But it's a larger picture of money. It's the larger picture of money. It's all about money. I agree, but not about that game.
At the end of the day, we have people who have gotten their particular endorsements back for doing things that are far worse. Let me say this to you. Anyone that thinks, and I am not condoning, please do not blow up the email or wait for me when I leave the studio or anything to that nature. I am not condoning the actions of dogfighting. But what I'm submitting to you is this. When you rape someone, and we have professional athletes that have raped individuals. When you rape, you not only destroy that individual, but you destroy the lineage of that individual because that person still carries around a psychological scars that can pass down to their children, to their husband, their family, to the end of it. If that is not a greater crime, they're both crimes, but if that is not a greater crime than a dogfighting, I don't know what is. But Mike Tyson was allowed to come back. Other athletes that we're not going to name were allowed to come back. And some Kobe Bryant get away with things and are allowed to come back.
That's wrong.
Well, whether it's wrong or right, it's done. And if it's done, if it's good enough for them, then clearly Michael Vick is good enough for Michael Vick.
But if you're going to have a no-tolerance policy...
You don't have it.
Well, we don't have a no-tolerance
policy. If you're going to have a no-tolerance policy, you're going to have a no NFL.
Yeah, right.
Because clearly you have enough people in there that have some sort of allegation against them.
What does that tell you? But you know what, Jeff? That's not
good enough.
That's just not good enough.
You know, Jeff, I really agree with you. I miss you. That's a very good point.
You should start psychologically screening all the athletes, and you could weed out the bad eggs early on.
You know what? I don't know that anyone is capable of doing that. There's always going to be someone who is psychopathic that's going to have aberrant behavior, and that's the unfortunate part of it.
You want to keep them out?
I want to keep them out.
Regardless of whether guilt, innocence, if they're aberrant, we keep them out.
They're out.
Okay. Well, and I guess Charles Barkley should never be on another show commentating.
Well, how about the ones that are aberrant, but they don't get caught? I mean,
Sayde wants
Michael
them
Vick
out,
got
too.
I
caught.
want them out.
Well,
But I'm sure there are people engaging in illegal activity in the NFL right now.
If you are going
They're going to play
someone-
3-on-3?
If you're going to pay someone excessive, obnoxious sums of money for running up and down a 100-yard field, carrying a ball, beating the living you-know-whats out of the people on the opposing team, then I think you have a right to hold these folks to the same
Normally we would agree.
higher standard.
We're going to find out if our viewers agree with that. We're going to hear from some folks around the region in just a moment. But first, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with your thoughts. And, of course, you can always email me if you want to tell me what you think about Michael Vick and a potential return to the NFL.
Lynn Doyle's jewelry provided by David Craig Diamonds and Fine Jewelry, Newtown, Pennsylvania.
Transportation for It's Your Call guests provided by Preferred Car and Limousine.
I don't think he deserves a chance in the NFL because he knew better. You know, I mean, just what was he doing it for? The money? I don't know. Just any abuse to animals. I don't know. I would probably stop watching football.
For those of you that have not sinned, throw the first stone. I mean, that's enough said. Of course he deserves a second chance.
I just don't like the whole dog idea. I love dogs.
Absolutely not. Doesn't deserve a chance in society, in the NFL, anywhere. He should work for PETA.
You know what? Honestly, I do. He deserves another chance. Give the man another chance.